system is sort of set up to get people to eat these crappy foods. And once you start eating them, you consume them on a daily basis, your body starts craving them. You get addicted to them. Like, what about your cholesterol? What about you going to have a heart attack?
Ever wonder what's really in your food, like the stuff that'd make you drop your fork mid-bite? On the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe and his guests spill the beans.
Those are toxic dyes, and we allow them because we want people to. And there's also a bunch of other ingredients that make the food more addictive. Those are in our food supplies, and some of them are illegal in other countries.
Or maybe the high fructose corn syrup, on how some eats are made, and trust me, it's wild. From sugar bombs to chemical soups, you might never eat the same again once you know the truth. Ready to peek behind the curtain? Sugar overload in everyday eats? So sugar, it's not just the candy aisle's problem. Joe Rogan's had folks like Callie Means on JRE number 2210, who've straight up called the American food system a sugar-pushing machine. Callie, a wellness guy who's seen the industry's dark side, dropped a bomb. Kids' school lunches are loaded with it. Think sugary cereals and juice that's basically soda in disguise. He's like, it's everywhere, messing with their hormones. Imagine little Timmy chugging healthy orange juice, only to find out it's spiking his blood sugar worse than a Coke. That's not a snack, that's a science experiment gone wrong. Max Lugavere, a nutrition nerd who's been on JRE number 2170, backed this up. He's all about brain health and says juice is sugar water with a halo. Picture this, you grab a 16-ounce OJ thinking it's nature's gift, but without the fruit's fiber, it's a fast track to a sugar crash. Max even said it's not far off from Coca-Cola. Wild, right? And it's not just drinks. Callie pointed out how sugar's snuck into stuff like bread and sauces, thanks to high fructose corn syrup. It's cheap, it's addictive, and it's turning kids into pre-diabetics before they hit middle school. Now, here's where it gets shady. Callie, who used to consult for Big Food, admitted they've paid off academics, like a Harvard study claiming sugar doesn't cause obesity. Spoiler, it does. It piles on visceral fat, messes with insulin, and even tweaks hormones. Think earlier puberty for girls or lower testosterone for boys. Joe's reaction? That's insane. And it is. You're basically eating a lie every time you trust a low-fat label that's secretly a sugar bomb. Ever wonder why you're still hungry after a healthy snack? That's the sugar talking, keeping you on a cravings treadmill. The stats are grim too. Over 70% of Americans are overweight, half are pre-diabetic or obese, and sugar's a big player. Casey Means, Callie's doc sister on the same episode, tied it to fatty liver and type 2 diabetes showing up in kids. It's not just about weight, it's about your body breaking down from the inside. So next time you're eyeing that sweetened yogurt or granola bar, ask yourself, is this food or is it a sugar trap waiting to hook me? Speaking of traps, there's something even sneakier lurking in your kitchen, stuff you'd never suspect until you hear what's behind it. Seed oils, the hidden grease trap. Alright, let's talk about seed oils, those slippery culprits like canola, soybean, and corn oil. Joe's had Gary Brecka on JRE number 2060 absolutely shred these. Gary, a biologist who's all about dodging toxins, explained how they're made. Picture industrial vats, chemical solvents like hexane, yeah, petroleum stuff, and crazy high heat to deodorize it. What you get isn't healthy oil, it's a Frankenstein fat. Joe's like, wait, they're cooking with that? Yup, it's in your fries, your chips, even your light salad dressing. Here's the kicker. These oils oxidize easy. Gary broke it down. When they hit your body, they mess with cholesterol, turning it into artery-clogging plaques. Heart disease, anyone? Paul Saladino, a carnivore diet guy from JRE number 1551, went harder, calling them worse than sugar because of their omega-6 overload. Too much of that throws your inflammation out of whack, and suddenly your body's fighting itself. Ever feel sluggish after a fast food binge? Might not just be the burger, this oil's a quiet saboteur. Callie Means chimed in on number 2210, saying kids eating junk filled with seed oils end up with inflamed brains. Imagine that. Your chicken nuggets aren't just greasy, they're frying your focus too. And it's everywhere. Casey Means noted how restaurant food's often fried in vegetable oil, hiding in plain sight. You think you're eating chicken, but you're gulping down a chemical brew that's been torched into existence. What's nuts is how these oils got the healthy tag. Big Food pushed them as better than butter or lard, but Gary's like, nah, stick to olive oil or animal fats. Natural stuff doesn't need a factory to exist. Meanwhile, seed oils are so processed, they barely resemble the plants they came from. Next time you're at the store, flip that bottle over. See partially hydrogenated or vegetable oil? That's your red flag. The health hit? Serious. Beyond heart issues, they're linked to metabolic syndrome and even mental fog. Paul's argument was, they're so inflammatory, they're behind America's chronic disease spike. Joe's all about hunting and real food, so he's nodding along, probably picturing a deer steak instead of a greasy takeout box. You start wondering, why are we even eating this stuff when it's basically engine oil for humans? And if you think that's bad, wait till you see what's rolling out of the drive-thru window. It's a whole new level of what the heck. Fast food's dirty secrets. Fast food's a guilty pleasure, right? But after hearing Joe and his crew, like Brigham Bueller on JRE number 2208, dig into it, you might ditch the drive-thru for good. Brigham, a health entrepreneur, told Joe the U.S. food supply's practically poisoned with this stuff. Picture your burger and fries. The buns got preservatives banned in Europe, the meat's from hormone-pumped cows, and those fries, fried in that seed oil we just talked about. Joe's like, they're feeding us trash, and he's not wrong. Max Lugaver on number 2170 called fast food hyper-palatable, engineered to keep you hooked. It's not just tasty, it's a science project. Callie Means dropped a wild nugget. Some of these recipes come from tobacco industry tricks to make you crave more. Think about that, your nuggets might be as addictive as a cigarette. And the stats? About 2/3 of our diet's ultra-processed, and fast food's a kingpin there. Lugavery cited a study. Every 10% more of this junk ups your early death risk by 14%. That's not a meal, that's a gamble. Then there's the meat. Will Harris, a farmer on JRE, number 1893, contrasted his grass-fed cows with factory-farmed ones. Industrial beefs from animals stuffed with antibiotics and weird grain diets, living in cramped, miserable pens. Joe's all about hunting, so he's like, why eat that when you can get real meat? Good question. And those chicken nuggets? Mechanically separated goo with additives to hold it together. You're not eating a bird, you're eating a lab blob. Don't sleep on the buns either. Some U.S. fast food breads got bleaching agents and dough conditioners Europe won't touch. Ever wonder why that burger tastes so perfect? It's not magic, it's chemistry. Casey Means on number 2210 called this dead food. No nutrients, just calories and cravings. She's right, your body's starving even when you're stuffed. And the soda, high fructose corn syrup city. Joe's guest Paul Rizzoli once said, Subway's bread's so sugary, it's cake in some countries. Cake for lunch. Health-wise, it's a disaster. Obesity, diabetes, heart disease, all skyrocket with this diet. Brigham told the Senate it's why we're fatter and sicker than ever. And it's not just you, kids are getting hit too. Callie's seen type 2 diabetes in elementary schoolers thanks to Happy Meals and school cafeteria junk. You start asking, who's letting this happen? Spoiler, Big Food's got deep pockets and deeper influence. Next time you're tempted by golden arches, picture the vats, the chemicals, the sad cows. Is it worth it? Joe's guests say no. Stick to real food and save yourself the regret. But hold up, if you think swapping to healthy fake meats fixes it, you're in for a surprise that'll twist your stomach. Fake meats, real mess. So, you're ditching burgers for plant-based patties? Sounds noble, right? Joe's guests, Diana Rogers and Rob Wolf on JRE number 1784, tore that idea apart. They're behind Sacred Cow, a film slamming processed meat substitutes like Impossible Burgers. Diana showed Joe footage of these things being made, giant vats of biological goo, soy protein concentrate, and chemical binders. She's like, it's disgusting. Joe's nodding, probably thinking, I'd rather hunt an elk. Here's the deal, these fake meats aren't just plants. Rob broke it down. A Beyond Burger's got sunflower oil, hammy additives, lab-made to mimic blood, and a laundry list of stuff to make it taste meaty. It's not a veggie patty, it's a factory puzzle. Compare that to a grass-fed steak. One ingredient, no PhD required. They're not anti-vegan. Diana's a dietitian, Rob's a biochemist. But they're saying if it's ultra-processed, it's not saving you. The health angle's shaky too. These patties pack sodium and processed oils we've already ragged on. Casey Means on number 2, 210, warned about dead food lacking nutrients, and fake meats fit that bill. Sure, they're marketed as eco-friendly, but Will Harris on number 1893 pointed out their supply chains are just as globalized and chemical-heavy as fast foods. You're not dodging the system, you're just eating its greener cousin. Ever wonder why it tastes so good? Same hyper-palatable tricks, different wrapper. Joe's crew pushes whole foods, meat or not. Diana's like, a steak's got bioavailable iron, this goo doesn't. They're not wrong. Processed substitutes can leave you nutrient short while piling on additives. And the process, industrial vats, high heat, chemical tweaks, it's less farm to table and more lab to plate. Makes you think, is this progress or just clever branding? The kicker, some folks ditch meat for ethics, only to eat this instead. Rogers and Wolf say real sustainability's in regenerative farming, not factory fakes. Next time you grab that plant burger, peek at the label. Might change your mind faster than Joe can say elk jerky. And if fake meat's a shock, wait till you hear what's happening on the farms feeding all this madness. Factory farming nightmares. Let's get real about where most meat comes from, factory farms. Joe's had Will Harris on JRE number 1893, a farmer who's seen it all. Will's all about regenerative ranching, but he painted a grim picture of industrial setups. Picture cows shoulder to shoulder in feedlots, pumped with antibiotics and hormones, eating corn they're not built for. Joe's like, that's not food, that's a horror show. Will nods, says it's about shelf life and profit, not health or ethics. John Stewart on number 1498 hit it too. He told Joe, people don't know how antibiotics are stuffed into these animals. It's true, factory chickens, pigs, beef, all get dosed to keep them alive in filthy pens. Problem is, that stuff lingers in your steak, and it's fueling superbugs. Ever wonder why your cold's harder to shake? Might be the nuggets you ate last week. Plus, hormones beef up the animals fast. Great for sales, sketchy for your body. The animals suffer too. Joel Salatin, another farmer on number 1478, described chickens crammed in cages, beaks clipped, no sunlight. It's not a farm, it's a meat factory. Joe, who hunts, can't stand it. He's like, I'd rather track a deer than eat that crap. Will's seen the difference. His grass-fed cows roam free, no drugs needed. The meat's cleaner, tastier, but big food doesn't care. Cheap's king. Health-wise, it's dicey. Antibiotics mess with your gut, hormones might tweak your own balance, and the meat's less nutritious. Factory diets strip out omega-3s you'd get from grass-fed. Then there's the environment. Runoff from these places trashes rivers. Will's like, this ain't sustainable, it's a disaster. Joe's all in, picturing wild game over a sad burger patty. You start asking, why's this even legal? Answer, money. Factory farming's a machine and we're the end users. Next grocery run, skip the cheap cuts, go grass-fed or local. It's less nightmare fuel, trust me, but it's not just meat. Your snacks are hiding some freaky stuff too, and it's time to spill it. Chemical cocktails in your snacks. Snacks, chips, crackers, those little healthy bars seem innocent, right? Wrong. Callie Means on JRE number 2210 blew the lid off. Over 10,000 chemical additives are in U.S. food. Stuff Europe won't touch. He's like, the FDA's asleep, companies just say it's safe and toss it in. Joe's jaw dropped. 10,000? Yup, preservatives, dyes, fake flavors, all swimming in your Doritos. Take artificial sweeteners. Dr. Rhonda Patrick on number 1054 warned they might mess with your gut bacteria, linking to obesity in a twisted way. Then there's glyphosate, Roundup's star from cereals. Callie cited the Monsanto papers. They faked studies to keep it legal. You're munching weed killer with your breakfast and it's generally recognized as safe? Sketchy. Casey Means added, neurotoxins are trashing our cells and microbiome. That's your snack attacking you from the inside. Ever check a label and see natural flavors? Could be anything. Chemists cook it up in labs. Callie's point, many additives haven't had long-term tests. You're the guinea pig. In Europe, they've got 400 approved additives needing proof they're safe first. Here, it's Wild West, eat now, regret later. Joe's like, why aren't we pissed? Good question. Kids get hit worst. Callie says dyes and preservatives might hype them up or fog their brains. Ever see a toddler after a cupcake freakout? Not just sugar, could be the chemical rainbow in the frosting. And it adds up, gut issues, inflammation, maybe even bigger problems down the line. Next time you grab a pack, squint at that fine print. Hard to say ingredients? Put it back. And if snacks are a chemical party, your morning bowl's got its own scam going. Let's unpack that next. Why your cereal's a lie. Cereal's the ultimate breakfast hero, right? Not after Max Lugavere on JRE number 2170 ripped into it. He's like, Frosted Mini Wheats scored 87 out of 100 on some dumb health chart. Eggs got 29. Joe's baffled? That's backwards. Max says it's the Tufts Food Compass, ranking junk like Lucky Charms over real food. Why? Added vitamins and fiber fool the system, while sugar and processed grains sneak by. It's not just misleading, it's unhealthy. Refined grains hit your blood sugar like sugar does, and most cereals are loaded. Callie Means on number 2210 flagged them in school meals. Kids start the day on a glycemic roller coaster. No nutrients, just a crash by recess. Max tied it to dementia risks too. Ultra-processed diets mess with your brain long-term. Ever feel fuzzy after a bowl? That's no coincidence. The marketing's slick too. Whole grain sounds good, but it's still ultra-processed mush. Joe and Max laughed about how guidelines push this over eggs or beef. Industry fingerprints all over it. Big cereals got pull, and we're eating the lie. Next time you pour that colorful crunch, ask, is this breakfast or a candy bar in disguise? So what's the takeaway from all this food chaos? Let's wrap it up quick and leave you buzzing.